This is Jonathan Aguilar here for Pro Boxing Fans. We're here in Manchester. Parker-Chisora 2 goes down December 18th for a rematch. Eddie, how are you?
Well, I've noticed you've got a very cheeky, mischievous face.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
I'll take it.
You look very happy.
I am happy.
You always look like you're up to something.
Eddie, Derek Chisora was up to something in the press conference. It's never a dull moment with Derek about. He's fired up for the press conference. Are you going to get him an American judge?
Probably not. I mean, that's up to the British Boxing Board of Control. But I think Del feels like he's been on the bad end of a decision. Let's say a couple of times in his career. I mean, he was robbed against Helenius in Denmark, I think, where that's a fight took like Norway, Helsinki. And look, last time out against Parker, just one of those fights could have gone either way. When he was in the ring and they were announcing the decision, I was thinking if Parker gets this, he could actually take a swing for me. For some reason, he thinks that I appoint the judges. Obviously, that's done by the British Boxing Board of Control. But I don't think this fight will go the distance. I think it was a good fight last time, but behind closed doors, I think the energy will be different in Manchester Arena. And I see this fight ending inside the distance.
What do you think the impact of the crowd is going to be? Derek's used to, as you say, fighting in front of a crowd. Joe's is the same. Is it going to be different with a crowd?
Much different, because the energy will be different. Chisora's much better in front of a crowd with that energy, and it's been difficult for him to not get himself up for, because he wants to win these fights, but I think he will have a different kind of approach to this fight. Obviously it's a big show, big card, and I think that he's going to try and go for the stoppage, and I expect a really good fight.
Joshua Buatsi wasn't here today, but he's co-main event. Pretty much on the verge of a world title if he beats Vlasov?
I think so. I mean, obviously, JB is in San Francisco with Virgil Hunter, finishing camp. A lot of people telling me this is a 50-50 fight with Vlasov. You know, I feel that Vlasov should have beaten Joe Smith last time for the world title. But you know what I'm so pleased about this fight is, after this fight, he's ready. You know, there's no other steps to take. We always talk about, don't we, between, you know, that sort of, that fight and world level and making that jump. You saw Craig Richards do that. He got a shot, he had to take the opportunity. But you kind of feel like if he would have had a Bolotniks or a Vlasov in the middle and got through that test, he would have been better prepared and more confident. So this is the perfect progression for Joshua Buatsi. Really tough fight. Lerone Richards against Gongora. What a fight for the IBO super middleweight world title. Can't wait for that one. Of course, Zelfa Barrett against Tarimo, eliminator for the IBF title. We've got Ogawa and Fuzili fighting for the world title at Madison Square Garden coming up. Jack Cullen for the European title as well, so happy to see him get that opportunity. It's going to be an unbelievable atmosphere for that. Jordan Thompson, Sandy Ryan, David Naika, Olympic bronze medalist, Rhiannon Dixon, probably missed someone else out as well. And so it's a really, really big card. And looking forward to the finish to the year, of course, in the UK and in the States.
Just on Buatsi, you've mentioned Dimitri Bivol as a possible opponent. How likely is that next year?
I think it's very likely. I mean, look, we've got John Ryder wants to fight him, we've got Bivol, Buatsi wants to fight him, we've got Callum Smith wants to fight him, we've got Craig Richards would like to rematch him, so we've got plenty of fights for him. He's obviously as well looking for that big marquee fight, which is Canelo Alvarez or Beterbiev in a unification, but you know, Joe Smith's out there as well as a potential fight for these guys. Even Beterbiev, you know, you're going to get to a time where you've got to roll the dice. It's a dangerous fight. He's getting old, he's been fairly inactive. And, you know, if the chance comes against him, I know all those guys are prepared to take it.
Fight week in Sheffield this week, Galahad and Martinez. Does the winner of that, presuming Galahad from your perspective, get a unification? Yeah,
I want to make the Navarrete fight. You know, I think that's a great fight. I think Kid Galahad is that good. You know, he could beat the other champions as well. The Kiko Martinez fight, solid defence, homecoming defence, needs to look good. You know, Kiko will bring it as he always does, but I want to see Kid Galahad enjoy himself out there and you know, come through in a good fight and then move on to unify.
Terry Harper, long way of return.
Really tough fight.
Yeah, but if she was to come through that, how do you see the situation with, obviously Michaela Myers, the fight everyone's talking about, but Choi is the WBA belt. Yeah. How would you see it playing?
Choi has signed a contract to fight Terry Harper. Obviously Harper was injured and Choi decided to take an interim fight. They'll meet early next year, and then the winner of that fight should fight Michaela Meyer. Good performance from Meyer, you know, very close fight with Hamadouche. Judges' scorecards were outrageous, but it is what it is. And you know, Harper, we're really building towards some big female fights now. Harper against Meyer is a big fight. Choi will have something to say about that as well, you know. And then also, obviously, Katie Taylor, hopefully against Serrano, if she can get past her mandatory in December, and if Serrano can win out on the Jake Paul card.
Canelo, undisputed super middleweight champion now. What was it like afterwards with him?
It was good. You know, I mean, it was a weird week because I wasn't really welcome anywhere, not by him, but by other people. You know, just kind of decided to be there as a fan, really, and as a friend. And it was a great experience to enjoy it as a fan. I was in amongst them a lot of the time, you know, and on the night just sat with his family, and afterwards went for dinner and to a club as well and celebrated him. You know I get a little bit of stick for being a bit of a fanboy, but I'm a fanboy of him. I think he's a great guy. I think he's cool as they come, and I think he's an unbelievable fighter. And, you know, we sat down over a year ago and he said he wanted to be undisputed super middleweight champion. He did that in a year, and he has had 4 fights. We were lucky enough to promote 3 of them, and we'd love to work with him again. So we'll be doing everything we can to come up with some options for him moving forward. PBC will as well, Top Rank probably will as well, and he'll sit down. He won't go with us because he likes me. He'll make the correct business decision for his career, and hopefully that can be with us.
From your perspective, who would you want to see him fight next on DAZN?
Personally, I think the biggest fight out there is Triple G, you know, the trilogy. But he can do what he wants. You know, he can defend his undisputed championship. He could move up and fight Bivol at 175. He could go on a run to try and become undisputed at 175. But, you know, Canelo and Eddie Reynoso are the bosses, and they'll decide what they want to do. As I said, we'll put some options to them, as will other people, and they'll make the decision which they feel is best for their career.
Couple more, I'm done. Dana White put 100 grand on the fight. What did you make of that?
I thought it was a bit weird that he was watching the fight, you know, I mean, especially during the co-main event. But, you know, sometimes you watch that fight to see where that's up to in terms of when you want to run your main event. And obviously he had 100 grand on it as well. I think he won 40 off the back. But I thought it was a great performance from Canelo. I think Caleb Plant was never really in the fight. I thought he boxed, you know, smart, but he was never going to win the fight. You know, he doesn't punch hard enough. He wasn't aggressive enough. Canelo was stalking him, cutting him off, beating him up, and it was a great finish.
Just last one, Conor Benn faced Chris Algieri in Liverpool. Just talk us through how you got to this. And, you know, people saying they want to see him face Avanese and Virgil Ortiz. You've already said on record that's not the plan at the moment. Where do you map it out for Conor?
You know, I think it was Neil Marsh's interview saying, you know, they're fooling the public. It's like, very honest with where we are. You know, I put Avanesian. He's not as good as Virgil Ortiz or Boots Ennis, but he's a world-class fighter, and he's dangerous. And I do feel that Conor needs another fight before he fights him. There's no shame in that. Conor would fight him tomorrow. But no disrespect to David Avanesian, you're talking about a superstar in Conor Benn that has the opportunity to become a massive draw in British boxing if we get his development right. His last 4 fights, Sebastian Formella, who in his fight before boxed Sean Porter. Right? It was okay for Sean Porter, just not for Conor Benn. Then he boxed Samuel Vargas, who in his fight before boxed Virgil Ortiz, went 7 rounds. Conor stopped him in 1 round. Then he boxed Adrian Granados, boxed all these top welterweights. Now he's boxing Chris Algieri, former world champion. 3 defeats on his record, Pacquiao and Spence, in which he got beaten convincingly. Very close fight with Amir Khan, beat Provodnikov. This is a 50-50 fight. So don't worry, we know what we're doing with Conor Benn. This is a superstar in the making. This is a world champion in the making. And this is a perfect step up for him. A really tough fight.
Appreciate it, Eddie. Cheers.